The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Diego Castro, bringing you the biggest headlines from around the world. Israel is standing by its ground offensive, saying it's the best possible course for retrieving hostages taken by the militant group Hamas. Israel said its ground offensive led to a soldier being freed after being held captive by Hamas. The government is now hoping that continuous ground action would pave the way for the release of 200 more hostages. Israel also continued with its airstrikes at the Gaza Strip and has rejected calls for a ceasefire. The Hamas group, on the other hand, released a video of Israeli hostages accusing Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of failing to act on the October 7 massacre and demanding that he agree on a prisoner swap. Netanyahu said Israeli Defense Forces will continue with the ground offensive.
Our common assessment of all of the, not only the cabinet members, but also all the security forces and the military, is that the ground action actually creates the possibility, not the certainty, but the possibility of getting our hostages out. Because Hamas will not do it unless they're under pressure. But we're committed to getting all the hostages back home. We think that this method stands a chance. It's a goal that we're committed to.
Morgues and cemeteries in Gaza are starting to get overwhelmed from the sheer number of bodies that need to be laid to rest. Over 8,000 Palestinians are being reported dead from the Israel-Hamas war. The details in this report by the Associated Press.
المقبرة فيش قبور، هذه عبارة بيقولوا عنها نظام فزاقي قديمة جدا. شاف كيف؟ فتحوا فزقية غرفة تحت الأرض كانوا فيها موتى، شالوا الرفات والعظام على شقة وحطوا نزلهم كله مع بعض. يعني تصور أنت فزقية حوالي 20-25 شهيد في مكان واحد، في قبر واحد حاليا، قبر جماعي.
Protesters in the U.S. disrupted a congressional hearing where President Joe Biden's advisors are seeking more funding for the Israel-Hamas conflict. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin testified to the Senate Appropriations Committee on Biden's request for $106 billion to fund security plans. This includes $14 billion for Israel, $9 billion of which are for humanitarian relief, both for Tel Aviv and Gaza. Demonstrators raised red-stained hands and chanted slogans denouncing American officials for supporting what they called a genocide against Palestinians. Their demands included a ceasefire and protection for the children of Gaza. Capitol Police eventually removed the protesters from the room, and despite the disruptions, the hearing continued. Blinken later told the press that a ceasefire would only help Hamas, but a pause for humanitarian reasons can be considered. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now World. I'm Diego Castro. Students have returned to Lewiston High School in Maine following the recent mass shootings at a bar and bowling alley in the city. Let's see how that went in this report by the Associated Press.
I mean, I'm happy to be back, but I'm also worried about my safety and stuff here. On my football team, one of my coaches lost four friends. One of my best friends, I went to Auburn, lost one of his best friends. And my mom's friend got shot 4 times, survived, and saved a bunch of kids at the bowling alley. So, yeah, I'm kind of going through a little bit too. So, I mean, it's a matter of time just to be, try to act normal again, try to act like everything's fine, but like everything's not. But try to act like it's okay,
So this is Jess Stewart, which is one of the instructors.
Today's going to be hard, but I think there's strength in gathering and unity in getting back together, and so I'm very hopeful about how today will go. But I also know it's very hard. It's cumbersome. It's humbling. It's got a somber tone. Even as kids came in today, you could just feel the difference in energy, which I think is appropriate, but also just makes me want to make sure kids are okay.
Honestly, as I walked through the doors, I felt my stomach kind of drop a bit. Not because I felt unsafe, but because I felt like what's going to happen from here on out. I was really unsure and uncertain of things that are going to happen, how everybody was going to react, the people who were affected. And it was just a weird experience to walk through school, see people still talking and life going on. Today's Halloween right now. I know a lot of people don't feel like celebrating. I don't even feel like celebrating right now. And I feel like even though we're here and we're trying to be present, it's going to take a long time to really feel like we're safe and present here and feeling at home.
Thousands of Afghans flocked to Pakistan's Chaman border crossing ahead of the November 1 deadline set for undocumented Afghans to leave the country. Afghan families lined up at the Pakistan side of the border, waiting for it to open after they were evicted with nowhere else to go. Pakistan earlier said it would crack down on undocumented migrants starting November 2. This comes after Islamabad found that Afghan nationals were involved in crimes, smuggling, and 14 out of 24 suicide bombings this year. Pakistan claims that militants use Afghan soil to train fighters and plan attacks inside the country, an accusation that Afghanistan denies. Kim Kardashian's Skims fashion brand is making a foray into sports. The fashion line is now the official underwear partner of the NBA, WNBA, and USA Basketball. The reality star and business mogul says the partnership will connect people of all backgrounds through fashion, sport, and talent. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, meanwhile, praised Skims for being a culturally influential brand. Skims recently launched its men's line this month with OKC's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as an endorser. And those are the top world headlines of the hour. Join us again at 9:45 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. I'm Diego Castro. We are One News. All sides, all the time.